everyone is speaking out about this. With quarterback Bryce Young in a prove-it year with the Panthers, head coach Dave Canales has some thoughts on the future of his quarterback heading into the start of the regular season. What's going on, guys? It is Tanner Blue, Carolina Panthers Digest. Hope you were doing well. Happy Wednesday. We are another day closer to the regular season, another day closer to the preseason finale against the Houston Texans, and another day closer to Carolina Panthers football. Obviously, thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I really do appreciate it. You know the drill. Before we get into it, guys, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We are above 600 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. We're trying to get to 1K before the regular season, so help us out if you can. It really is appreciated. And lots of love in the comments so far. Lots of conversation going on, especially in the last few videos. I love talking to you guys and getting your theories and your thoughts as fans on what the team is doing and how they should go. So I really do appreciate that. Big topic today is Bryce Young. Okay, it's always the big topic. It's always Bryce Young. Okay, it's always, is he the guy? Is he not the guy? I like him. I don't like him. I'm done with him. Get rid of him. Let's draft a quarterback. He's always usually the big topic of conversation, which is the case for any quarterback. But Dave Canales was asked a few days ago on a show what his thoughts were about Bryce Young as the future. What is he going to be? Is he the franchise quarterback of the Panthers? Well, we're going to talk about that. Dave Canales given some thoughts on what he thinks about Bryce Young as a franchise quarterback. So before we get into it, guys, we got an article here by our guy Mike K over at ESPN. He's done a really nice job, by the way, as being the taking over for David Newton. Always liked his reporting whenever he was at the Observer, I believe, previously. But Mike K really doing a nice job for the Panthers so far, so I wanted to give props to him. Dave Canales was on a talk show where he was talking to, I believe, Stephen A. Smith, and was kind of asked a little bit about, what he thought about Bryce Young as the future, what he's going to do, what his plans are with the team, and kind of how he's thinking about, is he the franchise quarterback? Is he the guy? So let's get into some of those notes here and see what we got going on. Dave Canales reiterated the Carolina Panthers' commitment to quarterback Bryce Young for the 2026 season, but the coach said Tuesday in an interview with Stephen A. Smith Sirius XM show that any talk of potential long-term pact with Young will be responsible for the front office as Canales helps Young take the next step on the field. Smith specifically asked Canales whether Young, who led the Panthers to an NFC South title last season, is the franchise quarterback. So Dave Canales being asked straight up, is Bryce Young the franchise quarterback? Is he the guy? Well, typical Canales fashion, we get our answer right here. He is right now. See right there, he is right now. Canales said with a smile, he's our guy, and I love the trajectory that he's on, and not just the stuff he's growing in, just from an operational standpoint, moving the offense, finding chemistry and all that stuff, but it's also just the critical moments, It's those games, it's the close games, it's the one-score game at the end. So Dave Canales giving his thoughts there on Bryce Young, saying that he is the guy right now. What does that mean if you're a Panthers fan? Well, I think Dave Canales has a way of saying things where you can't take everything at face value, but he also isn't afraid to say the truth without saying it, basically, if you kind of understand what I'm getting at there. He's saying, Bryce Young is our guy for now, and he's not wrong. This season is essentially, like I said in the beginning of the video, a make it or break it year for Bryce Young. This is the year. We've seen the bad, we've seen the good, we've seen the comebacks, we've seen the setbacks. Can we get everything in one package for a good season? That's what we're waiting on. And the Panthers have done a phenomenal job in terms of not going too far with this. It's very much like teams who have not had a franchise quarterback for a while or have really struggled to find someone who has shown potential and shown talent but hasn't done it consistently, and they just give them the bag, they give them the extension, they give them the contract, and then a year or so later they're out of there. I got to give credit to the Panthers front office, Dan Morgan and those guys, that they've played this out perfectly. If Bryce Young ascends this year and he plays great football and he shows he's the future, fantastic. You have the opportunity to sign him to a contract, and you played your cards right. You didn't jump the gun. You know what you got, and you're going to move forward. That is the perfect scenario. In the other scenario, we've got where Bryce Young has an awful year. He's not the guy. And the Panthers, hey, okay. Thank you for your time. We gave you plenty of opportunities, but I think we're going to look elsewhere for our next quarterback. They have the opportunity to do that. So they've done a phenomenal job in evaluating the situation, from a contract standpoint. The worst thing they could do is, unfortunately, Bryce Young have a very average season. There are some good, there's some bad, there's some in the middle, and then they're kind of stuck. Well, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Did we give him an extension? Did we let him walk? Did we trade him? He goes somewhere else. He plays well. We've seen it with Sam Darnold. We've seen it with Baker Mayfield. It's a tough spot to be in, but I think right now the Panthers have played this perfectly. They're going to let Bryce Young prove if he's the guy, he'll get the contract. If he's not, they're more than likely going to move on. And I'd like to think that in a ideal scenario, if Bryce Young has a very average, mediocre season, does some good, does some bad, I do think the Panthers will move on. Guarantee. Obviously I cannot guarantee that, but that's just how I feel with this front office. I feel like they're not going to settle, at least at the quarterback position, and they will look elsewhere if it does not go as planned and as fans hope. So Bryce Young, obviously, in a prove-it year for the Panthers. A little bit left on this article here at the bottom I want to touch on. There's a few other good points. The Panthers picked up Young's fifth-year option following this year's draft. He is under contract through the 2027 campaign, but the two sides could look to get a deal done early to lock up the relationship for the foreseeable future, which makes this season paramount to Young's legacy in Carolina. The Panthers can afford to wait for Young to ascend even further this season, but that patience could lead to a bigger overall cash-in from the quarterback who took the team to the playoffs for the first time since 2017. So this is true. This is true in the fact that, the Panthers are waiting, which I think is the right idea. But let's just say Bryce Young all of a sudden just has an MVP season. Oh my God, he's killing it. Now he's going to demand more, and the Panthers could be on the hook for more money. That's possible, but I would rather face that scenario than signing someone who has not shown that they are the guy. If Bryce Young goes out and has an MVP caliber season midway through the year and they're looking about locking him up, if he commands a lot of money, he commands a lot of money. Great for him. The Panthers will have to do what they think is best. I'd rather have the opportunity to sign someone who is having a fantastic MVP caliber, all-pro level season than someone who is kind of floundering and it's like, well, he's not bad, but he's not good. We got to do something. Do we offer him a contract? You don't want in the middle. I think we either want the best or the worst. No more in the middle for the Panthers. So I think this is a situation where both sides, they're going to know. They're going to know. Panthers fans will know. We'll know what the future holds. We're all rooting. If you're a Panthers fan and you want the Panthers to do well, I'm assuming you want Bryce Young to play great football, unless you're not a fan of Bryce Young and you want to move on. That's fine too. But I think for the best interest of the team and the long-term plans, Bryce Young has a great year. We sign him, and he's the franchise guy. That's a perfect world, but we don't know what the future holds. We're going to have to wait and see. Unfortunately, today, I don't have the stats pulled up here, but if you were on Twitter or following any Panthers Twitter media, the Panthers and Bryce Young, the offense, having a rough day against the Texans defense. I believe several sacks, a fumble, interceptions. Not a good turnout at joint practice. Granted, it is practice. They could be doing a few things different. Who knows? I'm not there. But overall, not what you want to see. That many turnovers and sacks. I can guarantee you that's not part of the plan. But nonetheless, we will see what happens in game action coming this weekend. Obviously, the starters not going to play in this game. It is the final preseason, the final game of the preseason for the Panthers. So we want to make sure they have those guys healthy and ready to go in a few weeks against the Chicago Bears whenever we take them on in the regular season home opener. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on what Dave Canales said about Bryce Young. Is he right? Is he wrong? Should we lock him up? Should we wait? My personal opinion, I think the Panthers are playing this perfectly. Just keep doing what you're doing. Let Bryce Young show he's the guy or not the guy, and then evaluate accordingly. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, keep pounding. We'll see you on the next one.